I'll be honest with you, I didn't move out to the edge of town to impress anybody. I bought that 5-acre stretch because I like dirt under my nails, early mornings, and the sound of chickens instead of honking cars. My place isn't some Pinterest farmhouse with white porch swings and matching flower boxes. It's a working little farm. Raised beds, a gravel driveway, an old red barn I patched myself, a tractor that leaks a little oil, and a fenced-off corner where I'm trying to get fruit trees going. It's not messy, it's lived in. There's a difference. But try explaining that to someone whose personality is neighborhood Facebook group. Her name was Linda, but she had that exact energy you're imagining, so in my head she was Karen from day one. She moved into the subdivision that butts up against my property. The one with the overbuilt 2-story houses, postage stamp lawns, and HOA rules for how tall your grass can be and what color your shutters can't be. Those houses went up after I was already here. I didn't go to them, they came to me. First month after she moved in, I'd see her on her back patio just staring. Not at the sunrise. Not at the trees. At my place. At my gravel driveway, my barn, my chicken run, like she was inspecting me for code violations I didn't sign up for. I ignored it. I always ignore it at first. Then, on a Thursday morning, I remember because I was fixing a busted hose line near the garden, I heard the gate rattle. My front gate has a sign on it, private property. No trespassing. Not decorative. Not cute. That sign is doing real work. So when I heard the latch, I stood up, wiped my hands on my jeans, and walked toward the sound. And there she was. Blonde bob, big sunglasses, yoga pants, holding a phone like it was a police badge. "Hi," she called, like she was invited. "Are you the owner?" "I am," I said, keeping my voice even. "This is private property." "Yes, I saw the sign," she said, waving it away like it didn't apply to people with a mortgage. "I'm your neighbor behind you. We just moved in. I'm on the HOA board." I almost laughed. "You're on the HOA board of the subdivision?" "Yes." She smiled like she expected applause. "I wanted to talk to you about this." She gestured. "Not at one thing. At everything. The driveway, the barn, the stacked lumber where I was building another raised bed, the compost corner." "What about it?" "Well," she said, stepping in like we were girlfriends, "your property is visible from several of our backyards. And, I don't want to be rude, but it's a bit of an eyesore." There it was. I let the silence stretch. Sometimes silence makes people realize they said something stupid. Not her. "We're trying to maintain a certain standard," she continued. "Property values, curb appeal, you know. People pay good money to live in that neighborhood. And when you look out your back window and see," she made a face, "farm stuff, it kind of ruins the view." I looked at her, then at my barn, then back at her. "This is a farm." "Yes, but it doesn't have to look so rustic." "Ma'am," I said, "this is how a working property looks. And this is my land. Your HOA rules don't apply here." She smiled tighter. "We actually spoke with a few neighbors, and a lot of them feel the same way. If you could just tidy up the visible parts? Maybe move that." She pointed right at my stack of reclaimed wood I got for free off a guy. "And the chickens, do they have to be so close to the fence?" "They're 50 feet from the property line," I said. "That's county code." "Well, our rules." "Your rules," I said, "stop at your fence." She blinked. The kind of blink people do when they're not used to being told no. "Okay," she said slowly, like I was a child, "maybe you don't understand. When people see something messy or unkempt, it affects everyone's property values. We could work together to make it more presentable." "Presentable to who?" I asked. "Folks who just got here? Because I've been here 8 years. The county knows me. The sheriff knows I grow tomatoes. This is a farm, not a display." She shifted her weight and her voice got a little sharper. "So you're just not going to cooperate?" "I'm going to continue living on my land within the law," I said. "And you're going to stop coming through my gate." Her mouth opened, but I was already walking her back toward it. Not touching her, just escorting. She huffed, stepped through, and before I could close it she said, "I'll have to bring this up at the next HOA meeting." "You do that," I said. "Tell them the farmer says hi." I shut the gate and latched it. Honestly? I thought that was the end. Lady learns property lines are real. Everybody moves on. Of course not. 2 days later, I started getting calls. First from Old Man Jenkins, whose pasture is across the road. "Hey, you got trouble with the new folks?" he asked. "Heard some lady in leggings going door to door talking about your place." Then from Carla, who sells eggs with me at the farmer's market. "This lady came up to me and asked if I knew the guy with the junkyard farm off Ridgeview," she said, laughing. I said, "That's not a junkyard, that's how food grows." So I knew Karen was on a campaign. I didn't care much until the letter came. Not from the HOA, I would have tossed that. This one was from the County Code Enforcement Office. Complaint regarding debris, non-permitted structures, and potential nuisance animals. I actually said, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me," out loud in my kitchen. I called the number, set up an inspection, and the next week a guy named Mark came out in a county truck. Good guy, mid-40s, looked like he'd rather be fishing. "Sorry to bug you," he said, looking around. "We got a complaint." "Let me guess," I said, nodding toward the subdivision houses lined up like teeth behind the tree line. He smirked. "We've had a few from over there lately." I walked him through everything. My shed was permitted. The barn predates the subdivision. My chickens were within the legal number. My compost was organized and away from the water line. My reclaimed wood was stacked, not scattered. "You're fine," he said. "I'll close it out." "Appreciate you." He got back in his truck, and as he was typing on his tablet, I saw her. On her patio, arms crossed. Watching. I waved. She didn't wave back. Instead, the next week, someone cut my fence. It was the side fence that runs parallel to the back of the subdivision. I have a regular 4-foot wire fence there, not to keep the world out, just to mark the line and keep my hens from wandering too far. I walked the line one afternoon and saw the segment near her house sagging. When I got closer, I saw it wasn't sagging. It was snipped. Clean. Wire cutters. I checked my cameras. I've got 2 that watch the yard and driveway, but not that whole back line. That was on me. I fixed the fence, added a camera, and told myself it could have been kids, or a dog, or anything else. Then it happened again 3 days later. This time, 2 of my hens got out. Sweet Pea and Rusty. I name mine, don't judge me. I found Sweet Pea wandering near the ditch, but Rusty was nowhere. I was cranky now. So I walked right up to the back of the subdivision, to the little gap where my property meets their manicured grass, and I called out, "Hey! Anybody see a chicken?" A couple kids stopped biking and stared. A guy watering his lawn glanced over. Then she came out. "Oh," she said, all innocence. "Something wrong?" "Yeah," I said. "My fence got cut again and one of my chickens got out." "Maybe you should have a better fence," she said with that fake HOA smile. "So your farm animals don't go roaming. Maybe people shouldn't be cutting it." Her eyes flashed. "Are you accusing me?" "I'm saying my fence was fine for 8 years until somebody new started complaining." "Well, if your place wasn't such an eyesore, people wouldn't complain," she snapped, dropping the nice act. "You have junk everywhere. Piles of wood. A tractor. Those ugly plastic barrels. Those are rain barrels. It looks bad," she said firmly. "And it's bringing down the whole street." "Your street came to my farm," I said, trying not to raise my voice in front of the kids. "I didn't move into your HOA. You all moved next to a farm. Farms have stuff." "Well, this is a residential area now," she said, like that magically rewrote the county map. "You can't just do whatever you want." "I can on my land." She put her hands on her hips. "You know what? I was trying to be nice before. But if you're going to be difficult, we can do this the official way." "You already tried," I said. County said I'm fine. Her face tightened. That got to her. Then she said something I didn't expect. We'll see about that, she said. My brother's on the planning commission. There it was, the flex. I didn't say anything else. I just turned around and went back to fix my fence again. My anger was simmering now, not boiling. Boiling makes you sloppy. Simmering makes you patient. That night, I went through my county codes again. Checked everything. Checked my cameras. Widened the motion range. Moved a spare camera to face the back fence. Because if she was going to play dirty, I was going to get proof. A week passed quiet. Then came the Saturday. Saturday is market day for me. I was loading eggs and jars of honey into the truck when I heard pounding. Not on my house. On the gate. I walked over. This time she wasn't alone. She brought backup. A tall man in a collared shirt and sunglasses, I guessed the husband, and another woman I recognized from seeing her walk a golden retriever back there. The three of them stood at my gate like they were the welcome committee, and I was late to my own party. "Good morning," I said, keeping my face neutral. "We need to talk about your property," she said immediately, no hello. "It's getting worse." I looked over my shoulder at normal farm things. "How?" "You've added more whatever that is," she said, pointing at a pallet I'd brought in for a project. "It looks like a construction site." "It's my property," I said. "You can't keep coming in here." "We're not inside," she said. "We're at the gate. And I'm telling you, the neighborhood is not happy." The husband stepped in. "Look, man," he said in that calm, condescending tone, "we all have to live together. You don't have to make it so ugly." Ugly. That word hit different. "You all want me to hide my life," I said, looking from one to the other. "Because it doesn't match your brochure." The other woman spoke up. "We paid a lot for those homes. When we look out the back, we don't want to see junk." "Then put up a privacy fence," I said. "We shouldn't have to," Karen said. "You should clean up." Inside, I actually smiled. Because that was the thing I'd been waiting for. The part where they admit it isn't about rules, it's about control. "Okay," I said, real calm. "Here's what's going to happen. You are going to stop coming onto my property. You are going to stop cutting my fence. You are going to stop filing false complaints." "That's a serious accusation," the husband said. "Careful." "Oh, I'm real careful," I said. "I have cameras now." That made Karen blink. "You're filming us?" she said. "I'm filming my property," I said. "So when someone cuts the fence again, I'll know exactly who to send the footage to." Her jaw tightened. "We are trying to improve the neighborhood. You're trying to make the country look like the suburbs," I said. "Not the same thing." She dropped her nice voice altogether. "This is an eyesore and it's going to stop. And this," I said, stepping closer to the gate, "is trespassing. And it's going to stop." The husband looked like he wanted to say something else, but I guess he picked up on the fact I wasn't bluffing. They left, but not before she threw over her shoulder, "Don't be surprised when the county comes back." "I'll leave the gate open for them," I called back. They walked off, heads together. That was the day I decided I was done playing nice. I printed a big, clear sign and mounted it right at the gate and another on the back fence. "Private farm. Not subject to HOA. Trespassers will be reported." Under it, I added, "Cameras in use." Then I did something else. I called my cousin, who does septic and fencing, and asked him to bring me 4 more trail cams. We mounted them in the trees along the back line, facing both ways. Not obvious. Just enough. 3 days later, Tuesday night, 7:42 p.m., the cameras caught exactly what I expected. She didn't come herself. Of course she didn't. She sent her teenage son. The kid hopped the subdivision fence, came over to mine with wire cutters, and started cutting the section that was closest to her backyard. He looked annoyed, like he'd rather be on his phone. You could even hear him mumbling on the audio, "I don't know why she can't just leave it." When he finished cutting, he walked back, hopped over, and went inside their back door. I downloaded the clip, saved it twice, and the next morning, right after breakfast, I walked over to the county sheriff's office. I know the deputies. I donate eggs to their charity breakfast every year. I wasn't going in angry, I was going in factual. Deputy Harris watched the video, leaned back, and said, "That's criminal mischief, at least." "I don't want to ruin the kid's life," I said. "But I want it to stop." "We can pay them a visit," he said. "You want a report on file?" "Oh yeah," I said. "Paper trail's good." He grinned. "You've been out here long enough. You know." That afternoon, a patrol car rolled slowly through the subdivision. I happened to be in my yard, pruning. Totally innocent. Totally coincidental. The car stopped right behind her house. I saw the deputy get out and walk up. I saw her come out on the back patio, all confused and offended. I saw gestures. I saw the deputy show her something on the tablet, probably the video. I saw her turn red. I couldn't hear what was said, but I didn't need to. Because 20 minutes later, she was at my gate again. This time she didn't bother to be nice. "How dare you call the police on my son?" she snapped, not even waiting for me to come closer. "He's a minor." I stepped out onto the gravel, wiped my hands slow, and looked her right in the eye. "He cut my fence. On camera. You could have come to me." "I did," I said. 3 times. Her cheeks were blotchy now. "He was just trying to help me keep things neat. Your fence is an eyesore, your whole farm is an eyesore, and now you've gotten law enforcement involved over a piece of wire." "That piece of wire keeps my animals in," I said. "And your interference is now on a police report." She jabbed a finger at me. "You are making this a much bigger deal than it needs to be." "No," I said, my voice flat now. "You are. You came to my land telling me what to do. You filed complaints. You sent your kid to damage my property. You escalated." "Not me." She was breathing fast. "We just want the neighborhood to look nice." "This isn't your neighborhood," I said. "This is my farm." She looked at me like she wanted to spit. Then, and this is the part that told me karma was already warming up, she said, "You think this is over? I told you, my brother's on the planning commission. We can get your non-compliant structures removed. You won't even be able to run this farm." I let her talk. Let her dig. Because she didn't know what I knew. She didn't know I still had the original plats and permits from when this land was zoned agricultural, before their cookie-cutter neighborhood went in. She didn't know the county liked having a small agricultural property right there because I sometimes hosted school group. She didn't know the Planning Commission had already told her precious HOA, in a public meeting last year, that the neighboring agricultural parcel is grandfathered in and has the right to continue current use. But sure. Call your brother. I didn't say any of that. I just said, "Go ahead." She stared at me, thrown off because I didn't beg. "You'll regret this," she said finally, then turned and marched off toward her house. I watched her go, thinking, you already started the regret. You just don't know it yet. Because here's the thing about people who weaponize rules. They always assume the rules only point one way. But I was about to remind her that county rules apply to her, too. And that the camera didn't just catch her son. It also caught something in their yard the county definitely wouldn't like. By the time Sunday rolled around, I'd had a few days to let the dust settle. The deputy's visit must have made some impression, because there hadn't been a single peep from the subdivision. My fence was still standing. The hens were happy. The air was finally quiet again. But silence, when it comes from people like her, usually means she's plotting. I went back to checking footage from the cameras that Friday night just to make sure all was well, and that's when I saw it. Not her kid this time. Her. Around 10:30 p.m., in her robe, a flashlight in one hand, she was in her backyard muttering to herself, pacing along the fence. Her dog barked once, and she hissed at it to hush. Then she crouched down by one of her flower beds, fiddled with something shiny, and stood up quickly. That shiny something? A hose. A hose that ran down into a drain ditch. It took me a second to realize what I was seeing. That wasn't irrigation. That was a drain line from her pool, the one the HOA bragged about in their Facebook group, a community gym. The hose was running straight through the soil toward the back, where the slope met my fence line. I zoomed in on the footage and cursed under my breath. She'd been draining chlorinated water into the low spot that ran right along my orchard trench. The trench I used for watering my fruit trees. Chlorine kills soil life, and if enough gets into your ground, it ruins the earth for months. I wasn't angry this time. I was cold. I called my buddy at the county's environmental health department Monday morning. Sent him the footage. He told me to keep quiet, not confront her, and to leave everything untouched. 3 days later, a white county truck rolled into the subdivision, 2 inspectors in khakis stepping out. They went straight to her house, badges on display. I watched from my barn window, coffee in hand. She answered the door all smiles, like she was hosting tea. That smile lasted about 30 seconds. Then her arms started waving, her tone got defensive, and one inspector pointed toward the backyard. They all disappeared around the side. 15 minutes later, they were gone. By sundown, her pool hose was gone too, replaced by a bright yellow violation notice taped to her gate. The next day, I saw her husband out there with a shovel, digging up the trench like it had personally betrayed him. She stood nearby, arms folded, glaring at my property like the dirt itself had tattled. I didn't wave this time. I didn't need to. The following weekend was the annual county harvest fair. I always set up a stall there with my honey, eggs, and jams. Families came by, kids petted the goats, and for a few hours life was good. Then I noticed a familiar voice behind me, dripping with sugar. "Wow, I didn't know you were actually part of this event," she said. I turned. Linda, or Karen, depending on how honest we're being, was standing there, arms crossed, a smile just sharp enough to cut glass. "Morning," I said evenly. "Didn't expect to see you here." "Oh, we support local things," she said. "I just thought it was funny that your little operation is part of this. After all, you're technically not a commercial farm, right? More like a hobby." She said hobby like it was contagious. "It's a registered small farm," I said. "Got the paperwork right over there with the county seal." Her smile twitched. "Of course you do." I leaned in a little. "You're welcome to buy some honey. It's made about 50 feet from where you like to complain." Her face froze for a second before she plastered the smile back on. "No, thank you. I don't buy food from dirt." I almost laughed. She turned and strutted off before I could even reply. 2 days later, karma made its grand entrance. Tuesday morning, I heard the distinct whoosh of county utility trucks and the grind of a backhoe engine. I stepped out to see them parked right behind the subdivision, 2 lots down from her house. Men in reflective vests were marking ground with orange paint. I wandered over, coffee mug in hand, and spotted one of the inspectors from the environmental health visit. "Morning," I said. "What's the project?" "Storm drain blockage," he said. "Someone's been dumping chemicals, pool water, cleaning agents, messed up the line under a couple houses." I whistled softly. "That sounds expensive." He nodded. "Yeah. City's tracing it back to one house right now." I didn't say a word. By 4 p.m., 3 trucks, 1 city supervisor, and a very red-faced Karen were standing in her driveway while they dug up the sidewalk. Turned out her temporary fix for the pool drain had backed up into the storm system. The HOA had to pay the fine because she was acting on their beautification committee at the time. She lost her board position that evening. And just like that, her kingdom of rules and judgments crumbled. I didn't rub it in. I didn't have to. The next morning, a small white envelope appeared in my mailbox. No return address, just my name in fancy handwriting. Inside was a single folded note. "I shouldn't have interfered. I apologize for any trouble caused. The fence will be repaired on our side as well. Linda." I read it twice, then tucked it in my drawer with the other documents. Proof of karma delivered. Over the next few weeks, she kept her distance. No more visits, no more gossip. Her son even waved once when he passed on his bike. I waved back. He looked relieved. My farm stayed quiet, peaceful, as it had always been before their neighborhood sprouted up. Then, one crisp morning in early autumn, as I was setting out crates of pumpkins by the roadside stand, I saw her again, just standing on her patio, coffee cup in hand. This time, she wasn't glaring, just watching the sunrise spill over the field. Our eyes met briefly. She gave a tiny nod. Not friendly, not apologetic, just human. And that was enough. Because sometimes karma doesn't come as thunder. Sometimes it's just the quiet moment when someone finally realizes they were wrong, and you don't have to say a single word.